Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about mythbusters. Read learning objectives of our lesson. Do you know these professions and what they study? You should match the jobs with a description of what they study. For example, number 1, physicist, letter E, studies matter and energy.
Physicist studies matter and energy. Geneticist studies the inherited characteristics of living things. Mathematician studies numbers, shapes and space. Astronomer studies planets, the universe, space. Chemist studies the characteristics of substances and how they react. Biologist studies all natural life. Psychologist studies the human mind and the way it works. Geologist studies the Earth's surface.
Look at these pictures and answer the question. Which jobs seems the most interesting to you? Please write your opinion. Today we are going to watch a video. There are some new words in this video. Now let's learn these words. You should repeat them and read their definitions. Mythbuster, to separate, genius, to vote, to struggle, to breathe, mental, brain scan, out of the blue, to come up with, to observe, task number 1. Match the words with their synonyms. Check yourself. Mythbuster, experimenter. Separate, split up. Genius, brilliance. Vote, elect. Struggle, fight. Breathe, respire. Mental, intellectual. Brain scan, CT scan. Out of the blue, all of a sudden. Come up with, discover. Observe, watch. Task number 2. Read with headings. A. Einstein failed maths. B. We only use 10% of our brains. C. An apple fell on Newton's head. Do you think they are true? Very well. Now let's watch the video and check yourself.
Mythbusters. Science helps us understand the world around us, but there's a lot of misinformation out there. It can be difficult separating science fact from science fiction. Here are a few science myths that are simply not true. Einstein failed maths. Albert Einstein is perhaps the most famous physicist ever, and he is widely considered to be a genius. Unfortunately, a lot of people believe that he struggled at maths. What is true is that when he was young, he failed a university entrance exam because his mark wasn't high enough. His marks in maths and physics were excellent, but he didn't do well at French, chemistry, and biology. It seems that not even geniuses are perfect. We only use 10% of our brains. Your brain counts for about 2% of your body weight and contains billions of neurons that are constantly sending and receiving information. Yet people still say that you only use 1/10 of it. This myth possibly comes from an interview with psychologist William James in 1908. Journalists may have misunderstood him when he claimed that we are making use of only a small part of our possible mental and physical resources. If we take a brain scan, though, we see that we use all the parts of our brains, just not at the same time. So, whoever repeats this myth is certainly not using enough of theirs. An apple fell on Newton's head. Here's a myth that is almost true. Sir Isaac Newton, the 17th century mathematician, astronomer and physicist, was sitting under an apple tree in his garden. Out of the blue, an apple fell on his head and he immediately came up with the theory of gravity. It is one of the most famous images in the history of science, but it might not have happened. Documents written at the time suggest that Newton did come up with his theory from observing falling apples, but one probably did not hit him on the head.
Task number 3. Watch the video again and choose the correct answer. Number 1. When Albert Einstein was young, he A. Didn't go to school. B. Wasn't good at maths. C. Had to take an exam twice. D. Was better at some subjects than others. Number 2. In the second part of the video, the presenter suggests that A. A scientist didn't check his research. B. Reporters might have made a mistake. C. The human brain isn't always active. D. Humans use 90% of their brains. Number 3. In the third part of the video, the presenter says that A. There is some truth in the story. B. Newton often lied about his theories. C. The story isn't very well known. D. Newton never watched apples falling. Let's check your answers. The first, D. The second, B. The third, A. Task number 4. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the words in the list. Check yourself. The first, struggles. The second, observing. The third, come up with. The fourth, wrote. The fifth, brief. Our lesson is coming to the end. Give the short summary in 5 or 7 sentences about myth-busters using active vocabulary of our lesson. Your homework is to learn the new words and phrases. Thank you for the lesson. Goodbye.